Hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. It is 1:38 on what always has felt like a Friday to me since the second I woke up. 1:38 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, July 1st, 2020. This video is brought to you by BioTrust. Again, a different product of theirs, though not the collagen one. This is their amazing immune system booster that everybody should give a try. Actually, the four of the world's best immune supporting powerhouses are in this one product called Ageless Body, and it's 51% off today. It is 167% of the daily recommended value of vitamin C in a bioavailable form called magnesium ascorbate. You can go to agewithtracy.com. That's agewithtracy.com to get 51% off this amazing supplement, which I, again, am using every day. Don't use it. Don't give it to you guys unless I use it myself. It's just something that I say. Hey, guys. Hi. Love you guys, too. You fantastic people, you. So yesterday, everybody saw how I was saying how I was trying to keep it to a half hour. I was trying to keep it slow. And I got a lot of suggestions and comments and stuff that came out of the comment section, which I do read, by the way. And I decided that I'm going to do what a lot of people suggested and read a column that goes up on Uncover DC so that you guys understand what we're doing. This is an opinion I don't know if it's more commentary. It's more a scholarly article in a way. It's called The Plan. It's by Stu Cirk, and it is up on Uncover DC. I just published it, but I think it might do everybody good to give everyone out there in the comments who asked for me to read articles from uncoverdc.com on the channel and read this article to you, because it's packed full of information, and I think it's a great starting point that you might be able to send to your friends. So here it is. See? Someone said the collagen one is great, and it is. It's not a joke. It really is. Also streaming live on cloudhub.com right now. Cloudhub.com on the Uncover DC channel. So, here we go. I'm reading to you, folks. And we have Laura Loomer on the podcast today. Drops at 2:30 Eastern. Really good interview. About a 45-minute long interview. Really good stuff. All right. So, America has entered the second consecutive month of unchecked rioting in Democrat-run cities and states with no end in sight. In fact, the Antifa and Black Lives Matter rioters have become emboldened to commit new and more outrageous atrocities due to the lack of any real pushback from local law enforcement. From whence did all the chaos originate? The notion of spontaneity is absurd. No one should believe in the existence of random or spontaneous movements, especially when they exhibit the power to overthrow powerful institutions such as, say, the United States of America, with all the elements of its once effective constitutional federated republic. George Floyd's death from a heart attack, attributable first to his own lawless behavior, severe heart disease, drug abuse, and secondarily to the cops' brutality, is a mere excuse to execute long-developed plans for anarchy. The major impetus behind the coordinated riots has been the concept of, quote, overwhelm the systems, as preached by the Frankfurt School, Saul Alinsky, Cloward and Piven, and others, leading directly to Antifa, Organizing for America, and Black Lives Matter. All of these are interconnected and focused on the same goals: the destruction of capitalism and America, and the creation of a communist dictatorship. To understand what the riots are about, one must understand these people as well as their philosophies, motivations, goals, and political heirs and descendants, many of whom are active members of the current, he calls it the Dementia-crat Party, over which they've taken direct control in recent years. So we're going to examine each. The Frankfurt School. The Frankfurt School. The Frankfurt School Marxists provided the pseudo-intellectual underpinnings of the worldwide communist movement. They developed the main theories and tactics that remain in play today by subversive organizations like Antifa and BLM. The Frankfurt School is a Marxist splinter group of leftist pseudo-intellectuals, many of them Jewish atheists, trying mainly by means of so-called, quote, the long march through the institutions, to corrupt traditional Christian values of Western culture with pseudo-values included in the umbrella term of cultural Marxism. Their ultimate goal has been to take over countries not with guns and weapons, but with pseudo-values and ideas that would change the way people think. The basic trait of the Frankfurt School is the merger of the Marxist philosophy with the Freudian psychoanalysis in an effort to sort of achieve for societal changes made in line with communist directives. Destroying free enterprise capitalism by undermining its economic engine, the middle class, the destruction of the basic building block of society, which is the family unit, and destroying the Judeo-Christian value system. The result of these ideas spread by Frankfurt School is that society wanders down a road towards insolvency, immorality, and totalitarianism. The revolutionary propaganda is disguised under the fig leaf of science. Among the theoretical derivatives of Frankfurt School are so-called critical theory, and professors of this school were the source of the ideas that fueled what is now known as students' protests of 1968. In 1923, members and sympathizers of the Marxist Communist Party, Friedrich Pollock, Max Horkheimer, and Karl Grunberg, set up an institute at Frankfurt University in Weimar, Germany. This institute was named the Institute for Social Research. Later, it would become known simply as the Frankfurt School. These new Marxists had seen the old Lenin Marxists fail in their attempt to win this so-called working class in the West, and the workers of the world did not unite in World War I. Further, these new Marxists believed that the reason has been found by their comrade Antonio Gramsci, who wrote in his prison notebooks a blueprint to de-Christianize the West, that Marxism could only flourish after a long march through cultural institutions, i.e. institutions like academies, seminaries, newspapers, magazines, radio, film, and what is now known as TV and mass media. The new mantra of Marxists would be, change the Western culture and then the workers would unite. Munzenberg stated explicitly that his goal was to, quote, organize the intellectuals and use them to make Western civilization stink. Only then, after they've corrupted all its values and made life impossible, can we impose the dictatorship of the proletariat. This is all. You could read about Frankfurt School more here. There's a link provided for you. One that everybody's heard a lot about, Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky was a proponent of the Frankfurt School methods. He developed a cookbook that left-wing radicals have used in efforts to undermine from within the American cultural and political institutions. Alinsky was an author, activist, and liberal community organizer and rabble-rouser in Chicago, surprise, who developed a method of local organizing that was widely copied by Democrats and influenced Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. He's also credited with coining the term, quote, community organizer. His most well-known accomplishment was the book Rules for Radicals. He wanted reform inside the system by pressuring government officials to consider the needs and wants of the neighborhood residents, and he believed that the end justified any means. He was opposed by far-left radicals who wanted to destroy capitalism and who feared that Alinsky was strengthening it by resolving the issues most important to the poor. He was nicknamed the Red for his radicalism. In Rules for Radicals, Alinsky wrote specifically to the 1960s generation of New Left radicals, quote, what follows is for those who want to change the world from what it is to what they believe it should be. The Prince was written by Machiavelli for the haves on how to hold power. Rules for Radicals is written for the have-nots on how to take it away. Hillary Clinton's senior honors thesis was an analysis of the works of Saul Alinsky and the effect that they have on politics today. Barack Obama can also trace his roots to the teachings of Saul Alinsky and the use of them at the Alinskyite organization Acorn. Read more about Saul Alinsky here. Next, Cloward and Piven. A lot of you guys don't know too much about Cloward and Piven. This is a really great piece. These two 60s radicals were professors at Columbia University and likewise proponents of the Frankfurt School. They developed the Marxist strategy of overloading the system to precipitate a crisis that only the federal government could solve. Does that sound familiar, given the Chi-Com virus lockdowns and unchecked rioting that's going on in Democrat-run cities and states? Richard Cloward and his wife Frances Fox Piven wrote about collapsing the U.S. economy and how they plan to do it in an article they co-authored in the 1960s called Mobilizing the Poor, How It Could Be Done. Later, it was published in the left-wing magazine The Nation under the title The Weight of the Poor, A Strategy to End Poverty. This strategy came to bear their namesake as the Cloward-Piven strategy. Cloward and Piven believed in change and social justice. Inspired by the Watts riots of Los Angeles in 1965, they wrote and published their article, which outlined the best way to bring the kind of Saul Alinsky type social change to America. In their estimation, it was to overwhelm the system and bring about the fall of capitalism by overwhelming the government bureaucracy with impossible demands to bring on economic collapse. Following its publication, liberal activists like Barack Obama were attracted to the so-called crisis strategy, or Cloward-Piven strategy as it came to be called, and were eager to put it into effect. Read more about Cloward and Piven here. Barack Obama was a direct descendant of these radical groups. He was and is a Marxist at heart who did everything he could as president to undermine and destroy our constitutional republic. In one sense, Obama is among the most, perhaps even the most successful presidents in U.S. history. He promised to fundamentally change America, and given what we see happening around us today, it would be extremely difficult to argue that he has not done that. He was and is a, quote, community organizer in the mold of Saul Alinsky. That's exactly how he started his career. And he was and is a proponent of undermining from within and exploiting crises to advance a political agenda, just as the Frankfurt School, Alinsky, Cloward, and Piven argued. OFA, Antifa, and BLM. These groups are the political heirs of the aforementioned radicals. They're not indigenous. They're well-funded by left-wing billionaires and foreign governments, all of whom seek the destruction of America, and they are executing the plan. The ostensibly nonviolent, quote, community organizing arm of the Democrat National Committee during the Obama years was Organizing for America, which is suspiciously similar to a predecessor community activist organization called ACORN in membership and motivation. It's now morphed into Organizing for Action after Obama left office. Is there overlap between members of OFA and Antifa? Since 2017, OFA has subsequently been transformed into the umbrella activist organization that provided many of the street organizers who have planned and executed Antifa's non-spontaneous riots in American cities over the past month. Antifa, quote, anti-fascist, is not a single organization per se. Rather, it's a loose network of groups and individuals who coordinate their anti-racist activism on ad hoc basis in different areas, both within and outside the United States. Its political objectives align perfectly with the goals of the left-wing Democrat Party and with Obama in particular. Antifa is the current manifestation of the activist authoritarian left in America, seeking to suppress any dissenting political speech on college campuses and in the streets, and using the tried and true Alinsky tactics of personal confrontation to put pressure on political opponents. According to Wikipedia, BLM is, quote, an organized movement advocating for nonviolent civil disobedience in protest against incidents of police brutality against African American people. Except they're violent as hell, aren't they? Read more about BLM here with the link. Antifa, BLM, and OFA are the current manifestations of left-wing Democrat activism. Obama captured the DNC and continues to push, quote, community organizing on a wider scale across the land behind the scenes, while the violent arms of Democrat activism, BLM and Antifa, have taken the battle to the streets. These actions are not coincidental. In fact, they're highly coordinated and synchronized to align with Democrat initiatives such as defund the police or organize and reform the police, it has now become, because defund polls poorly with most Americans who support law and order. And there are at least two theories as to why these groups have chosen 2020 to accelerate, quote, the plan by fomenting insurrection, anarchy, and violence in the streets. The primary theory is that their backers associated with the Dementiacrat Party are directly threatened by President Trump. By extension, they mean to undermine the rule of law and the Constitution while destroying the main threat to their ongoing efforts to destroy America, as envisioned by Cloward, Piven, Alinsky, and the Frankfurt School. That political threat to them is Donald J. Trump and his reelection to a second presidential term in November. The second theory is that these people and their backers believe that they have achieved majority support among American citizens and therefore are the rightful leaders to bring about the, quote, paradise that has ever been promised by communists since the Russian Revolution. By extension, this theory holds that street riots and overt destruction of our cultural heritage will accelerate the remaking of the country while demoralizing patriotic Americans, setting the table for an electoral defeat of their nemesis, President Trump. There are other variations of these two theories, but in any event, anarchy and chaos are but two vehicles in the left's mobile column, spearheading their political and military offensive across the country. Any excuse will do, so long as the propaganda can be worked to make it plausible to their useful idiots. Abolishing the police is part of the same effort. Create chaos strategically while tactically replacing the patriotic cops with their cops. As for the Dementiacrat Antifa BLM media blather about police brutality, we ain't seen nothing yet. Wait until their cops are in control of your local police department as they replace all the real cops who are fed up and heading out the door for retirement or other jobs. Refer to Zimbabwe and South Africa, or say Cambodia under Pol Pot and the Murrogue, to see how it works when communist cadre runs the police departments. From the midst of the chaos rises their wannabe antichrist or figurehead to promise order, calm, and peace. And their hope is that the people, or sheeple, will accept it out of craven fear. It's an ancient, tried, and true method. Trade liberties for the promise of safety and security. This is the essence of the plan for completing the transformation of America promised by Obama. The signal that was all ready for an instantaneous nationwide insurrection and destruction was the people's, hand-dog acquiescence to mind control and behavior control in response to the virus pandemic. All they needed was a spark to the flammable hair of their primed and ready useful idiots. Officer Chauvin provided that spark, and the result is the Dementiacrat-enabled rioting and unchecked criminality in the streets of large American cities. It was all entirely predictable, and it is all entirely stoppable by exercising the political will necessary in bringing sufficient force to bear to deal with the Antifa BLM criminals in toto, whatever it takes. There remains a majority of Americans who are aghast at the violence and want harsh justice dispensed to the criminals. In some states, the pushback against the lawlessness is already underway. We need much more of this across the fruited plain to put some severe crimps in the plan. I suspect you are one of those Americans who would gladly assist the forces of law and order in stopping the plan dead in its tracks and saving our constitutional republic. Get in line. This was written by Stu Sirk, who served 30 years in the U.S. Navy in a variety of active and reserve capacities with considerable operational experience in the Middle East and Western Pacific. An oceanographer and systems analyst through education and experience, Stu is a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy, where he received a classical liberal education. This functions as the key foundation for his political commentary. He threads daily on Twitter on a wide range of political topics, such as military, foreign policy, government, economics, and world affairs. You can find him on Twitter at StuInSD. Here he is. And that's that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It'll be linked in the description box below. And if you guys liked this, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments, and I will start reading more of these amazing op-eds for you so you can listen to them while you do your driving or you're working or you can't read something or you just don't feel like reading. You can listen to me do it for you. Anyway, have a fantastic day, guys. I will talk to you very soon. Make sure you check out the podcast. Thank you.